My child, your healing cannot reach its deepest completion if you continue to see your mother only through the things she did that wounded you, without recognizing the wounds that already existed within her long before you entered this world. I, Michael, do not say this to deny what you endured, nor am I asking you to call wrongdoing love. I want to lead you into a deeper truth, where you can acknowledge your own pain while also understanding that you were not the cause of the coldness, harshness, or distance you once received. Certain burdens have passed through many generations because no one possessed enough courage to name them. There were tears hidden behind duty, fears concealed beneath a hardened appearance, and women who knew only how to keep living because no one had ever taught them how to heal. Your mother may have entered motherhood with hands still trembling from old losses, with a heart that had never been supported in the right way, and with empty spaces she did not know how to fill. When you understand this, a door to freedom begins to open, because you will no longer use what was lacking within her as proof that you were unworthy of love. Throughout the years of your growth, you may have carried countless unanswered questions. You wondered why a sentence could be so painfully cold, why you received only silence when you needed to be held, and why the person who was supposed to understand you most sometimes became the one who made you feel most alone. Because you were too young to understand the complexities within an adult heart, you turned every explanation against yourself. You thought perhaps you were not obedient enough, talented enough, lovable enough, or worthy enough. You began trying harder, becoming quieter, and yielding more, hoping that if you could become a perfect child, you would finally receive the love you had always desired. But, my child, the fact that love was not given to you fully was never evidence that you lacked value. A vessel can pour out only what it contains. If your mother grew up in deprivation, was forced to become strong too soon, or was never gently listened to, she may not have known how to give you what she herself had never received. This may explain part of her behavior, but it does not make your pain insignificant. I need you to hold both of these truths at the same time. Your mother may have been deeply wounded, and you were also genuinely hurt by the things she did or failed to do. Compassion does not require you to deny your memories. Forgiveness does not ask you to pretend that nothing ever happened. Understanding does not mean you must remain in circumstances that leave you exhausted. You are allowed to name what caused you sorrow. You are allowed to acknowledge that you once needed tenderness and did not receive it. You are also allowed to establish boundaries that protect the peace you have today. If your mother is still present in your life, you may love her in a more mature way, not by allowing yourself to be wounded repeatedly, but by refusing to struggle endlessly to force her to become someone she is not yet ready to be. Some distance is created not from hatred, but from respect. Some silence is not intended as punishment, but to prevent angry words from deepening the fracture. There are also times when you must leave a conversation so that neither of you continues causing further pain. What passed from the past into your life often appears not only in your memories, but also in the way you live today. Perhaps you constantly fear abandonment because the presence of the person you needed most was once unstable. Perhaps you are highly sensitive to criticism because you learned that even a small mistake could cause love to be withdrawn. Perhaps you continually care for everyone else, yet struggle to receive care because you became accustomed to carrying the emotions of the entire family alone. You may find yourself apologizing even when you have done nothing wrong, preserving peace by ignoring your own needs, or repeatedly choosing relationships in which you must prove that you deserve to be loved. These reactions do not mean that you are weak. They were ways you learned to survive in an environment where love was not expressed safely. But a pattern that protected you as a child does not need to govern your whole life. You now have the right to learn a new way of living. Healing begins when you stop judging the child you once were. That child was not foolish for hoping that your mother would change, shameful for still needing approval, or weak for feeling pain. That child was simply searching for safety from the first person they learned to love. Return to that smaller part of yourself with gentleness. Instead of saying that you were too sensitive, tell yourself that your emotions had a reason. Instead of blaming yourself for not being stronger, acknowledge that you survived with every ability you possessed at the time. When tears come, do not rush to restrain them. Some tears are not evidence of failure. They are waters washing away lies that have clung to you for too long. You no longer need to prove that you need nothing. You are allowed to desire healthy love, to receive help, to rest, and to live without remaining constantly alert to the possibility of rejection. As your heart becomes clearer, you will begin to see your mother not only through the role she fulfilled, but also as a human being who was once a child. Perhaps she also waited for an apology that never came, longed to be recognized, but received only comparison, or buried her emotions to keep her family from falling apart. Perhaps she learned that love meant sacrificing herself until nothing remained. That strength meant never being allowed to cry, or that silence was the only way to avoid conflict. When it became her turn to raise you, she unconsciously passed on what had been given to her. Not every pattern is chosen deliberately. Many patterns are repeated because they have never been brought into the light. But, my child, you are standing at the place where this cycle can end. You are not required to pass what you endured on to anyone else. You can learn to speak without humiliating, to discipline without planting fear, to love without controlling, and to protect without possessing. Do not believe that breaking a family pattern must always begin with a dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it begins quietly. You pause before speaking a cruel sentence. Apologize when you recognize that you were wrong. Listen to someone's feelings without immediately dismissing them. Or allow yourself to rest instead of treating exhaustion as an achievement. Every small choice of this kind is rewriting something that was once considered normal. You are building an inner home where truth is not punished. Emotions are not mocked. And love is not a reward granted only for perfection. From that safe place, you can look toward your mother with less anger. Not because the past has changed, but because the past no longer possesses the authority to determine your entire worth and future. If one day your mother is able to listen, speak with sincerity rather than accusation. Share what you felt, what you once needed, and what you desire for the relationship you now have. Yet understand that you cannot force someone into awareness while they are still afraid of the truth. If she denies, justifies, or cannot respond in the way you hope, your healing will not be destroyed. You do not need to wait for a perfect apology before you are allowed to experience peace. Your mother does not have to understand your entire journey before you have the right to move forward. Her apology, if it comes, may be a gift, but your freedom must not be placed completely in the hands of another person. I am leading you to a place where you can stop waiting for someone else to return and repair your childhood. Because you have begun giving yourself the care, respect, and protection you once lacked. In the end, my child, remember that understanding your mother does not mean turning your back on yourself. It means releasing a burden that was never your responsibility to carry. You do not need to continue punishing yourself for sorrows that began before the day you were born. You are also not required to rescue your mother by sacrificing your own peace. You may love her, pray that she will be healed, and still maintain the boundaries you need. You may be grateful for the good things she gave you without denying the things that caused you pain. Both truths can live together within a mature heart. I, Michael, am beside you as you learn to release self-blame. Return to the past, what belongs to the past, and choose not to pass this pain on to the generations after you. From this day forward, you are no longer the child who must do everything possible to become worthy of love. You are a person of value, a person with a voice, and a person with the right to create a gentler life. In the place where you dare to look back with honesty but no longer through hatred, the deepest freedom will begin to blossom. My child, stop before the thing I am preventing you from reaching. Because this warning is not intended to take away your joy, but to protect you from something you cannot yet fully see. I know you have passed through long days that appeared to hold no answers. I know the moments when you looked upward in silence and wondered whether your prayers had been heard. I also know what you felt when a door began to open and then suddenly closed. When a plan that seemed almost complete changed direction. Or when something you had been waiting for, unexpectedly, moved farther away. But beloved, do not be quick to call delay abandonment. And do not interpret a closed path as proof that you are unworthy. I have never taken my eyes from your journey. While you believed everything had stopped, I was still quietly working, separating you from things that looked attractive outwardly but carried no lasting peace, while preparing a path more closely aligned with the goodness appointed for you. There are moments when I must tell you not to touch that thing, not to return to that place, not to continue pursuing that person, and not to use your own strength to force open a door that remains tightly closed. Such restraint may confuse you because your eyes see only an opportunity, a promise, or a joy that appears very near. You may believe that if you make one more effort, everything will finally belong to you. Yet I see beyond the present moment. I see consequences you cannot measure. Hidden attachments concealed beneath a beautiful appearance, and exhaustion that will come if you enter something that was never meant for you. Therefore, when I draw you back, I am not punishing you. I am placing a protective hand upon your path. What you are required to leave behind is not necessarily a loss. Often, it is the way you are preserved, so that you may enter a better season with your wholeness intact. A day will come when you understand why I did not allow that thing to continue. A truth will be revealed. A statement will illuminate what had been concealed. Or an event will show you how near you came to danger without realizing it. Then you will look back with gratitude rather than regret. You will understand that what once made you cry became the wall protecting you from greater pain. You will recognize that the person you fought to keep could not accompany you into the next chapter. That the invitation you deeply desired did not agree with the values I placed within you. Or that the plan you considered perfect could have taken away the peace you spent years building. Not everything that appears bright carries true light. And not everything that excites you for a moment can sustain you through the long days ahead. Therefore, do not allow impatience to become your guide. Impatience often causes you to call a door a blessing merely because it opens quickly, or call a relationship destiny simply because it makes you feel noticed. But what truly belongs to you will not require you to trade away your dignity, destroy healthy boundaries, or live continually in anxiety. What comes through a good and gracious arrangement may require maturity, courage, and a step beyond what is familiar. But it will not transform you into someone alien to your own pure values. Learn to distinguish between a prompting that arises from peace and an impulse born from fear. One leads you forward through clarity, while the other pressures you to act because you fear there will never be another opportunity. You have been called to walk differently from the crowd, not so that you may consider yourself superior to others, but so that you may live with awareness and responsibility toward what has been entrusted to you. There are things others may quickly seize, while you need to stop and listen. There are invitations others may readily accept, while you must ask whether they draw you closer to peace, truth, and kindness. You cannot look only at outward appearances, promises, or immediate benefits. You must consider the fruit something will produce within you. Will it make you gentler or more bitter? More peaceful or more anxious? More honest or constantly forced to conceal? Discernment does not make you weak. It is armor that prevents you from handing your future over to things that appear beautiful only in the beginning. Your obedience during this season may not be seen by anyone, but it is opening something deeper than you realize. Every time you choose not to return to something I helped you escape, you break an old cycle. Every time you restrain yourself from answering in anger, decline an offer that brings unrest, or refuse to enter a connection merely because you fear loneliness, you build strength within yourself. There is a breakthrough connected to your ability to stop at the right moment. There is favor attached to the decision not to chase a temporary desire. There is also a new door waiting on the other side of trust, where you will no longer have to beg for recognition or make yourself smaller to preserve things that never truly belong to you. I know you want to understand every reason before you let go. You want to see the map before taking the first step. You want assurance that something better truly exists ahead before becoming willing to leave what is familiar. But mature faith is not always built within complete clarity. Sometimes all you receive is a quiet sense of uneasiness, an inner awareness that you should go no farther, or a series of signs revealing that it is time to stop. You do not need every answer before you can choose what is right. Your trust is shown most clearly when you cannot yet see the outcome, but still refuse to betray what you know is upright. Your mind may continue asking questions, yet an illuminated heart will know when to wait, when to release, and when to enter another road. Do not believe that every danger you avoid must be accompanied by a dramatic sign. There are things I prevented so quietly that you never knew you had been protected. A delayed journey, a meeting that unexpectedly changed, a relationship that gradually grew distant, or a plan that suddenly became difficult may have redirected you away from an unsuitable place. Sometimes you believed it was merely an ordinary decision you made, but through those small choices, guidance gently moved you toward greater safety. Not every form of protection feels comfortable at first. Some protection initially takes the shape of disappointment, but later becomes the reason you breathe with relief and gratitude. Therefore, remain calm before what is being delayed, and do not use fear to interpret every silence. If a door closes, Become quiet enough to recognize the new direction opening elsewhere. If someone leaves, do not immediately call it evidence that you are unworthy of love. Their departure may be creating space for a healthier relationship, or helping you return to heal the parts of yourself that have been neglected for too long. If a plan fails, look at what you are being taught instead of focusing only on what you lost. I waste no season of your life. Even waiting can teach you discernment, help you value peace, and prevent you from entrusting your future to things that offer comfort for only a moment. My child, what I am leading you away from is not your final destination. A wider path remains ahead, but you must enter it with hands no longer clinging to what has completed its season. Trust that today's protection is preparing you for tomorrow's receiving. Do not return merely because you feel lonely. Do not touch what you were warned about merely because it remains attractive. Do not allow temporary emotion to overturn the clarity you once received. Walk slowly. Keep your heart pure, and allow peace to stand as the gatekeeper of every decision. When the time comes, you will understand that I did not remove anything truly good from your life. I only protected you from what could not accompany your future. Looking back, you will recognize that every restraint, every tightly closed door, and every redirection was a loving imprint guiding you toward the place where you truly belong. You are beginning to understand that delays were not intended to make you weary. They allowed truth enough time to come fully into the light, leaving no room for confusion to follow you into the next chapter. There were days when you watched everything remain still and wondered why the answer had not arrived, why the door before you was still closed, and why the process slowed down whenever you thought you were about to touch what you had been awaiting. I know that waiting caused you sorrow and sometimes made you wonder whether you had taken the wrong direction. But beloved, what you called delay was, sometimes, my hidden care. Had I allowed you to continue too soon, you might have carried unanswered questions, unresolved doubts, and influences that no longer belonged with you. Because I love you, I created a pause in which everything concealed could reveal itself, so that you would not carry the darkness of an old season into the brightness of a new one. During that pause, I was never inactive. I worked in places you could not see, rearranging details beyond your ability to control and allowing the true nature of each matter to emerge gradually. Some people approached you with a friendly appearance while carrying motives that were not pure. Certain words sounded caring at first, yet were born from curiosity, judgment, or a desire to control. You may have felt uneasy without understanding why. And perhaps you blamed yourself for being overly sensitive. But I did not overlook what you felt. I used time to distinguish what was true from what was false, and sincerity from behavior intended only to conceal hidden motives. As every outer covering falls away, you will recognize that delay did not steal your opportunity. It only prevented what was unworthy from accompanying you through the door that is about to open. The weight you once carried is becoming lighter, not because you learned to endure it more skillfully, but because the cause of that weight is losing its right to remain attached to you. False judgments, misunderstandings, and conclusions formed through partial vision cannot stand forever before truth. In the past, you may have tried to explain yourself, prove your intentions, and persuade others that you were not what they believed. Each time you did this, you lost a portion of your peace because you placed your value in the hands of people who had never looked at you fairly. but I am leading you out of the need to live by such approval. You have not fallen behind, arrived too late, or been forgotten. You are standing exactly where you need to stand in order to understand that true goodness does not require you to chase it. And truth does not need you to exhaust yourself defending it in order to remain true. Look back upon your recent journey with gentler eyes. What appeared to be delay actually protected you from many impulsive decisions. If the answer had come while you were still bound by the fear of rejection, you might have used it to prove yourself rather than serve a higher purpose. If the door had opened while you were still seeking approval, you might have sacrificed your peace just to remain in a place that never truly belonged to you. Therefore, I allowed you to mature before entering what is new. I taught you to remain silent without becoming weak, to leave without nurturing bitterness, and to preserve integrity even when others intentionally misunderstood you. These lessons are the foundation that will keep you steady when you are elevated, so that praise, criticism, and the ever-changing eyes of the world will not pull you down. What others once tried to discover about you through speculation is now revealing more about them than about you. The way someone speaks about you without understanding will expose the level of their maturity. The way they respond to your silence will reveal whether they truly seek the truth or merely want to strengthen what they already chose to believe. You do not need to retaliate or uncover every hidden intention yourself. Time will accomplish what your explanations cannot. What is born from dishonesty will eventually contradict itself, while what is true will remain consistent, even through many trials. I want you to observe without condemning, recognize without nurturing hatred, and move through every circumstance with a pure heart. Your victory is not found in making others ashamed. It is found in preserving your good character after the truth has been revealed. From now on, you do not need to continue seeking clarity from people who have never viewed you uprightly. If they have decided to misunderstand you, every explanation can be reshaped to fit the story they want to believe. Do not surrender your peace to conversations that contain no goodwill. I am not asking you to become cold or closed, but I want you to learn the difference between someone who sincerely desires to understand and someone who is only collecting more material with which to judge. With those who are sincere, you may open your heart wisely. With those who continually distort the truth, peaceful silence becomes a boundary that protects you. Not every accusation requires a response, and not every question deserves access to the private place I am guarding. You are also not required to defend your reputation through prolonged arguments. The truth about you has already been written through the way you live, the way you treat those who are vulnerable, the way you rise after failure, and the way you remain kind when you have every reason to become hardened. A rumor may travel quickly, but it has no roots. A distorted story may create noise for a time, but it cannot produce good fruit. Quiet integrity may move slowly, yet day by day it builds a foundation that cannot easily be shaken. Therefore, instead of exhausting yourself correcting every statement others make, continue living in such a way that your life becomes the answer. Those who possess discernment will recognize it. Those with sincere hearts will understand. Those who refuse to see do not need to be forced to open their eyes. The transition you have been awaiting begins at this very point. You stop accepting responsibility for the false conclusions of others. In the past, whenever you were misunderstood, you looked inward to discover what you had done wrong and attempted to change yourself so that no one would remain displeased. But not every discomfort another person feels is evidence that you are guilty. Sometimes the light within you disturbs what they are trying to conceal. Sometimes your healthy boundaries cause someone accustomed to control to feel opposed. Sometimes your maturity changes the way old relationships once functioned. You do not need to make yourself smaller in order to preserve connections that can survive only while you remain weak. Allow what no longer fits to depart, so that the space it leaves may be filled with what is capable of growing beside you. As you continue, carry the understanding that my protection does not always appear as an obvious wall. Many times, it comes through delay, an absence of peace, a plan unexpectedly changing direction, or a person revealing their true nature before you place complete trust in them. Do not despise these small signs. They are ways I gently lead you away from what is not meant for you, without allowing your heart to be wounded more deeply. I am not protecting only what you currently possess. I am also protecting the person you are becoming. I do not want suspicion, darkness, or unhealthy connections to follow you into the place where greater peace, responsibility, and purpose are waiting. Therefore, lift your head and walk without fear. Do not turn back to see how far falsehood has fallen. And do not remain too long waiting for someone to apologize before permitting yourself to experience peace. Your freedom does not need to depend upon anyone's admission. What you needed to know has been revealed. What must leave is losing its place, and the road before you is becoming clearer. I will continue guiding you with wisdom, protecting you with power, and reminding you that not one delay in this journey was meaningless. You were never left behind. You were simply being prepared to move forward without carrying burdens that never belonged to you. Be at peace, because the truth about you remains standing, while everything built upon falsehood will dissolve as the light draws near.